certain thing as a total one. Then we never think of part of it. Say fruit. When you think of a fruit, you never think of its parts in it. The total fruit taken together is called one quantity, one portion, and one item, one number. And repeated fruits, they said, this again becomes a quantity of quantities. So, then we call it value. The value of a quantity or elements or quantity itself. Say it is how many or how much. So the number, hence the number is defined as the concept of how many or how much of a particular quantity right? That means if you have a bunch of leaves, if you take the total as a single bunch, the quantity is one. If you take each leaf as one item, then the quantity seems to be bigger. So when you talk about those leaves, then the quantity is nothing but how many leaves in such pool, in such pile, in such quantity. And that is called a number. So a number, when you say a number, you should know very clearly what you are taking as a single unit. A number is a quantity of some elements, some things. Now, man wanted to record this either for future application or study back or passing it on to the people who are foreign. Then he needed something to represent or note down, that is notation. Notation means writing down, noting down something, some concept. And this must be passed on to the reader or viewer as thought of, right? So they design some symbols for a specific concept. So these are called the signs. Or in language, names. Right? Now it's a symbol. This is for a concept. Just like when you go to any city, if you look at any traffic constable, when he raises hand like this, everyone knows that he wants everyone to stop. So this hand is used as a symbol. He never says that you stop there. So this symbol is accepted as a symbol for stopping. Right? The same way, any concept of quantity is represented by a particular sign. So these are called signs. In mathematics, we call these signs as digits. So one sign always represents a particular concept. One digit particularly represents one specific number, one specific how many. And this does not mean any what of that how many. It simply talks about how many, not what. Number talks about how many of what also. Without what, the how many is meaningless for number. But for digit, without what, it talks simply about how many of. You get the idea? So let us think that the first ever things they use is this one, a digit, a number. There can be any number of numbers. And if you go on giving one sign for each number, it becomes so difficult for the people to understand, remember and synchronize that many digits to that many numbers. So our Indian ancestors designed one method of representing many number of numbers with the help of limited number of digits. So they started calling it place system. That means they started giving a special importance to the place where the digit is displayed. Right? So people, when you see, we have natural 5 parts on each hand, 5 fingers on each hand, and every man having 2 hands, making 10 fingers. So they might have thought of using these fingers to represent each number, and thus they started thinking of a system calling always tens. So this is called Dasha Anka method or measurement. In total, it is called Dasha Ansha Manam. Totally giving Dashansha Manam. Vamato Gati. Very clearly says that the ankanas or the digits, they use the left and leftward application. The application is again 2 words, 2 types: growing side or declining side, increasing side or declining side. The places towards left indicate certain value. As Indians gave much reverence and importance to left, so they said left side places are of high value than the right side places. So you can understand this. Antanam Vamato Gati says that any place to the left is greater. That means this is like this. This is greater than this. And next place is again greater than this. This again is greater than this. To the left is 10 times to the right. So this is, if you take as units, then it is 10 times units, that is tens. That is 10 into 1. And again you got hundreds, that is 10 times t. That is 10 times 10, that is 100. And still further to this is 10 times to hundreds, 10 into h is thousands. This is how the system goes. That is clearly visible in slokas like ekascha, dasascha, satascha, sahasrascha, like that. I am not well versed in Sanskrit, but any person who is interested can investigate it. This notation is so simple, so useful, so non-confusive that our elders could think of any number notation. Other generations, other civilizations who could not think of this, when first encountered such notation, like Arabs coming to India and finding this system and the simplicity and the benefit of the system, they simply adapted this. And from Arabs, the entire Western culture adapted this. And presently, our universe is using this system, and they call it Indo-Arabic system. And our ancient mathematics talks about methods and attitudes which is applicable for any system, either decimal, either binary or septal or duodecimal, any system of notation. We will come into those things as and when we come across certain methods, certain sutras.